Well, hey there guys, Tom here. Welcome back to my movie channel, and thank you very much for joining me from a different universe. This is my review for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This is a non-spoiler review, so I want to let you guys know that if you haven't seen Doctor Strange yet, you are safe to watch this video, as I will not be talking about major spoilers in this video. If you guys haven't been here before, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that notifications bell so you never miss out on my take on all things movies. So this has been a movie that I've been excited for a long time. As a comic book movie fan, as a Marvel fan, as an MCU fan, and as a Doctor Strange fan. I really like the character of Doctor Strange, and I love how Benedict Cumberbatch portrays that character. And this movie promised to blow the multiverse of the MCU wide open, and blow the multiverse open it did. Now, this movie was directed by Sam Raimi, who, of course, did the Evil Dead franchise. He directed the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy, a trilogy of superhero movies that shaped my childhood and informed, my love of the comic book genre and the superheroes from 2002 till now. So you have Sam Raimi back in the director's chair. That's great. I love Sam Raimi. He's such a great director. And then you have the addition of Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch. And I'll get into talking about Wanda in a second. But let's talk about the tone of the movie. What I love about this movie so much is, first of all, this movie moves at a breakneck pace. This movie does not stop for nothing. The plot is, you're right, you are, from the second this movie opens, you are dropped right in the middle of an action scene in progress, and the movie just moves. At no point did this movie stop or feel like it was slowing down or grinding to a halt. Some movies, they stop and they have long scene where you sort of feel like this is unnecessary. I didn't feel like any scene in this movie was wasted. They didn't waste a minute of screen time. This movie's 2 hours, and it's got a really fast pace to it. And I love that about it. I love this movie for that. That once it starts, it's going. You are on that train, and the train ain't stopping for nobody. And I love the meshing of the two different tones, because through about the first half an hour of this movie, it feels like a typical, as far as tone goes, it feels like your standard MCU Marvel movie, which is not a complaint, by the way. But then when you get into more of the second act, the second half of the second act, and into the third act, it really then turns from MCU into full Sam Raimi. This movie, by the end of it, goes full Sam Raimi, and I love it for it. And you can feel that it's almost like a really hard tonal shift between MCU feeling and Sam Raimi, and it worked for me. I know it's not going to work for a lot of people, because I think it's going to be jarring for a few people who, aren't expecting that to happen, but it totally worked for me. And I think the shift, and it worked for the movie, and it really served the story, because towards the end of the movie, it does get quite dark and quite scary. I also love in this movie that we do learn a bit more about Doctor Strange as a human being. What are his values? What does he stand for? All this sort of stuff. We really get to know him more than we have throughout the entirety of his appearances in the MCU, so I really like that as well. And then, of course, you have Wong, who's the MVP. Wong, the Sorcerer Supreme, he is the MVP in this movie. Him and Doctor Strange, their chemistry, their banter back and forth, the fact that they're always sort of, jabbing at each other, it makes for some really funny moments throughout the film. It really does. And Wong shows up in this movie. He comes to play. Wong ain't messing around in this movie, guys. Okay, then we get to what we all want to talk about, which is Elizabeth Olsen as the Scarlet Witch. So I'm a little bit conflicted when it comes to where they chose to take the Scarlet Witch storyline in this movie. Conflicted in the sense that in order to really get the full benefit of her storyline in this movie and the full emotional weight behind her story, you had to have seen WandaVision. And I would go so far as to say that even to fully understand her storyline in this movie, you had to have seen WandaVision. Which is great in a sense that, when they started doing the Disney Plus series, and especially with WandaVision, and then when that first Doctor Strange trailer came out, and, she says, "Oh, I knew you'd show up," and he says, "Oh, I'm not here to talk about Westview." I thought, okay, yeah. So it's going to be connected to, the TV shows and the movies, they're going to be connected, but it'll be in a passing reference. It won't actually hold that much, the shows won't actually hold that much weight when it comes to the movies. Oh no. When you watch Doctor Strange 2, like I said, WandaVision kind of becomes a prerequisite to have seen in order to watch Doctor Strange 2, which is a blessing and a curse. It's good because it's a bit, you feel like it's a bit of a reward. It's a bit of a payoff for those of us who have watched those series. But for the casual, average movie-going person who maybe isn't as invested in the MCU and doesn't watch all the Disney Plus shows, when they step in to watch Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, they could be a little bit lost. One of the major strengths of the MCU has been that anybody can jump on board at any given moment. They might miss one or two minor things here or there, but they'll be able to follow along fine. And with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, with Wanda's storyline, it is so, integral to this movie. The events of WandaVision and what happened and the nuance and the depth and everything that happened in that show. It's so integral to this movie, and it's such an important part of this movie, and it worked for the film. It really did, having seen WandaVision. I just don't know that if you haven't seen WandaVision, I just feel like you're going to be missing a major emotional component of this film. And if you've seen my WandaVision reviews, you'll know that I had some major theories about where Wanda was going for the last year and a half leading up to this movie. And I'm not to brag, but I was right. I'm not going to say what they were in this video, but if you want to find out, go watch my WandaVision reviews, because I was right. I had 3 major theories in this movie that all turned out to be true. And I feel pretty good about myself. I really do. Elizabeth Olsen as the Scarlet Witch kicks so much ass. She just gives a performance in this movie that's just it's incredible. In WandaVision, she was able to show off more of her range as far as, going from all these different eras and doing different types of acting. But in this movie, as Wanda, as the Scarlet Witch, she's terrifying, but you also love watching her. You just can't take your eyes off that character, because that character is so good and they work her so well into this movie. And I love the relationship between her and Doctor Strange in this movie. I really do. Now, this is a movie that isn't going to work for everybody. There is a lot of things in this movie that I don't think, and a lot of story decisions and a lot of character choices that I don't think is going to work in this movie very well for some people. But it worked for me. Now, I do have a couple of small, minor plot, not holes, but inconsistencies as far as this movie's relationship to other movies in the MCU, especially stuff that Doctor Strange said in Spider-Man No Way Home. There's a little bit of, inconsistency between the two movies. That's, and it's very, very minor. It's, it's 1 or 2 cent lines here or there. But there are a couple of things that don't quite add up that I noticed. Nothing major and nothing that would ruin the movie for me, but you do notice those things. And then you have America Chavez, played by Xochitl Gomez, and she is the heart and soul of this movie. She is what really is driving this whole story forward. She is the one that basically starts this whole event off. So, and I'm so fascinated to see where they take that character in the future, and where she ends up by the end of this movie is a little bit of one of those inconsistencies I was talking about, but I can't get into it, obviously, because it's not a spoiler review. Let me touch on the cameos, because people in their initial reactions are saying, this movie's filled with cameos. Not really. It's not filled with cameos. There's a few, but I wouldn't say it's packed with cameos. There's a few, and it's in an isolated couple of scenes, and but it is definitively a Doctor Strange movie. They didn't put the cameo cart before the horse, if you know what I'm saying. It wasn't just, hey, let's see how many cameos from other things we can chuck into this movie just for useless, pointless fan service. And that's what I love about this movie too, is that like Spider-Man No Way Home, it does do fan service, but it makes the fan service an integral part of the story. And it worked it in and it's narratively correct, if you will. Because a lot of people with Spider-Man No Way Home are saying, oh, it's just nostalgia, it's just fan service. No, it was written in a way to be an actual important integral part to the story. And it's the same in this movie as well. And they do have, of course, they have a little bit of fun with it here and there. They do some things in this movie that fans have been asking for a long time. But they also do some things in this movie that I think is going to put some people off. Because I think they're going to give you things in this movie that you wanted, but not in that way, if you know what I mean. So anyway, guys, have you seen Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? If you have, let me know your non-spoiler thoughts in the comments section below. I will be deleting any spoilery comments that come in on this video because I do not want this experience ruined for people. So I will be monitoring the comments. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that notifications bell so that you never miss out on my take on all things movies. My name is Tom, and I will see you guys next time.